What's going on, YouTube? Today I bring you my inside offensive lineman rankings, so guards and centers, for the 2021 NFL Draft. Luckily, I'm getting this in the nick of time. Internet has been pretty horrible today, so this might come out a little bit later than normal. But without further ado, let's get into it. Starting off with number one, pretty easily for me, I have Alijah Vera-Tucker. This is a guy that the NFL is higher on than a lot of YouTubers and analysts, and I'm differing from that because I love Alijah Vera-Tucker. I love his versatility. Except for Rashawn Slater, to me, he's the most versatile player in this class. People like to nab him a lot on, his length isn't the best, which is why they don't think he can play tackle. I think, even with the lack of length, he plays like he has better length than some actual tackles. Take Rashawn Slater, for example. Reminds me a lot of Kelechi Osemele in his versatility, but, mainly in just the fact that they're very good blockers, but sometimes their power just isn't there. Otherwise, if Alijah Vera-Tucker was a bit more powerful, I think he'd be a top 10 pick. This dude is very, very good, and I feel like at worst he's a good starting guard in the NFL, but could be an elite one or an elite tackle, so I like Alijah Vera-Tucker. Then at number two, we have Quinn Meinerz out of Whitewater, Wisconsin. This is a dude that completely just came up out of nowhere. But I love me some Quinn Meinerz. He reminds me a lot of Shaq Mason. He'll probably go somewhere in the second round. This dude could be an elite guard. And when I say elite, I mean maybe like the best in the league. And that's considering we have guys like Quentin Nelson and Zach Marson in the league right now. Yeah, there's definitely a world where he's just a backup guard. Literally the only thing you can say that's bad about him is the competition that he played there at Wisconsin Whitewater, which is why he didn't get that much recognition until his pro day. But if you look at this guy play, I mean, he's got the athleticism, he's got the power, he's got the versatility, he's got the size, he's got the movement. Like, this dude is all around an amazing guard. It's just the competition you worry about. So while this dude can be one of the best guards, in the NFL, he could also be just simply a backup because of the competition he faced. Then at number three, we have such an interesting prospect in Landon Dickerson. A guy that plays center mostly, but really can play guard just as well. It reminds me a lot of Marquise Pouncey, but, he's a bigger Marquise Pouncey because this dude is a very big human. I don't think he's going to go until like the 5th round, maybe the 4th round. Honestly, he could even slip to the 6th or 7th. This dude is literally such an amazing prospect. Like, if you take the injuries out of it, this dude is a first-round player. If he would have played this year, I think he'd be a top 20 pick without question. He's that good of a guard / center. The problem is that the injuries are very concerning. And that's the literal quoted words, is that his medical reports are very concerning. And injuries, they're scary. It's probably the reason why Jalen Phillips is going to fall a bit farther than he should. Or same with Caleb Farley. Injuries are very, very scary. So, if he plays this year, if he doesn't ever have those injuries, he's a top, he's probably the best guard in this class. But with those injuries, I feel like he's going to fall pretty far. And if he can stay healthy in the NFL, he'll be one of the best guards in football. But if not, yeah, he'll be a bust, obviously. He's here at number 3 just based off of talent. Because, again, this dude is an incredible player, but the injuries are just really scary. Then at number 4, we have Kendrick Green. A lot of people are sleeping on this guy. A lot of people. I don't see really anyone talking about him. Reminds me a lot of Joe Thuney. He'll probably go somewhere 3rd, may slip into the 4th, although he could rise into the 2nd if a team does like him as much as I do. Super, super strong player. This guy is an anchor. I mean, at guard, he might, again, be one of the best in football. The problem is that, yeah, he's not the fastest by any means, and guards do not have to be that fast. That's why they're at guard and not tackle. But his agility is not there. He is not an athletic player, but this dude is an absolute anchor. At the very worst, he'll be a pretty good backup guard. But again, there is a world where he is definitely one of the best guards in football, and he can definitely be that. If he just works on his agility a bit more, he could be one of the best guards in football. But right now, he's my number 4. A lot of people are sleeping on this guy pretty hard, though. Then at number 5, we have Ben Cleveland. He probably would have been my 4, maybe even my 3, if not for the disappointing reps at his bench press. I mean, it doesn't really show it here. Go look at a picture of Ben Cleveland. If you want an even better picture, go look up Ben Cleveland shirtless. This dude is a specimen of a human. I mean, this guy is just absolutely ripped. And that's why it was pretty disappointing when he only repped like 16, I think, which is still obviously pretty strong, but it's not where we thought it might be. I think he'll go somewhere in the third round. Reminds me a lot of Brandon Brooks. Yet another guy that can be one of the best guards in football if he just, gets a bit better at moving, the agility and stuff. But when it comes to size and power, this dude definitely has it. But is that all he is? We don't know. If it is, that may make him not that good of a guard. But again, if he just gets a little bit better at moving his feet, but a little quicker, another guy that can be one of the best guards in football. Then at number 6, we have Jackson Carman. A lot of people widely regard this guy as a tackle. I think he translates better to guard. Another player that, is just very bad with his footwork. He's got a very solid stance. I mean, you're never going to pancake this guy, but he just doesn't have the movement. Like, there are certain guys in this class that they're just not going to survive at tackle because they're just too slow. They're too sluggish. Their footwork's too bad. And Jackson Carman, I believe, is one of those guys. However, out of those tackles that aren't going to survive at tackle, I do think Jackson Carman is the best. Reminds me a lot of Teron Armstead, a bigger Teron Armstead, since this guy's also a pretty big person. If it works out at tackle, he can be a really good tackle. And at worst, I think he's just a pretty good backup tackle or guard. He is pretty versatile in the way he plays, though. I think he transitions much better to guard, but he can easily work out at tackle. He'll be an early second-round pick. Obviously played very well there at Clemson for Trevor Lawrence. If you look at him play, he plays great. It's just the sluggishness that makes me think he's not going to survive at tackle, and we haven't seen him at guard, really, so I can't really put him over some of these other guys when we haven't seen him play there. But I do like Jackson Carman. Then we have yet another one of those guys I just talked about in Alex Leatherwood. Russell Okung, maybe a less athletic Russell Okung, is like the perfect comparison for this guy, size and all. He'll probably go somewhere in the second round. A guy that was widely regarded as one of the better tackles in this class, but especially after his pro day, I mean, he just dropped off people's boards because his athleticism, his footwork is just horrible. It's not even bad, it's horrible. And it sucks to say that because he played fantastic those 4 years at Alabama, and maybe he just looked really sluggish this year because he played a full season, unlike a lot of other players this year. Maybe that's why we're seeing so many high 40 times. When it comes to the power, the stance, the technique, Alex Leatherwood has it all. He is an amazing tackle. The athleticism is just way below par, and he's yet another guy that's just too sluggish with his feet to where I don't think he'll work out at tackle, but he can be a Pro Bowl guard. And again, can't even really work out at tackle. In a way, pretty safe as a guard. He has a much higher ceiling as a tackle, but a much lower floor. Guard, less high ceiling, but a way higher floor. So Alex Leatherwood is still a very good tackle, a very good prospect, and I expect he'll go somewhere in the second round. Then at number 8, we have Wyatt Davis. This is a guy that truly I'm not getting the hype behind, and I'm an Ohio State fan. Reminds me a lot of Kevin Zeitler. I don't get the hype. He can be good for certain, I mean, he's shown, obviously, that he's a great guard at times. Again, I'm an Ohio State fan. I watch this guy all the time. He's physical as it comes. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But this guy is, you move tackles to guard when they're slow, sluggish, and their footwork sucks. Wyatt Davis is already a guard, and playing at guard, he looks like he's slow, sluggish, and like his footwork sucks. To add on to that, this dude's reaction time is it's horrible. I mean, speed rushers just absolutely have their way with this guy. I use Azeez Ojulari a lot because he's the best speed rusher in this class to me. If you put Azeez Ojulari on Wyatt Davis, Wyatt Davis would get absolutely demolished. And yes, I know he's a guard, so he doesn't need to be that fast, but he's slow even by guard standards. So while I see it, he's physical, he's a very powerful blocker. It's just the sluggishness and the reaction time is just really, really bad to where he could very easily be a bust. which is why I don't get the hype behind him. I definitely don't think he should go in the first, but I think even the early second is a bit rich for that. My projected round isn't like it's not where I think he should go. It's where I think he will go. Because otherwise I'd probably have this guy as like a 4th rounder. So then at number 9, we have Creed Humphrey. Besides Landon Dickerson, the best center in this class, reminds me a lot of Ryan Kelly. Honestly, he could be one of the best centers in the league. Just like Wyatt Davis, he's about as physical as they come. But once again, he's just extremely sluggish with his feet. And yes, he's a center, so he doesn't need to be the quickest. But again, if you have a speedy defensive tackle or defensive lineman on him, they're going to have their way with this guy. Just like Wyatt Davis, his reaction time is not the best. You know, people like the Hail Mary podcast have a 6th-round grade on him, and honestly, I don't blame him. I personally have a 4th-round grade on this guy, and like, you know, he'll probably go somewhere in the 2nd, but like he can certainly, just like Wyatt Davis, work out and be one of the best, you know, offensive linemen in football, but very easily just be a bust. So a bit of a lesser safe project. So he might fall a bit farther in the 2nd round. But yeah, I don't get the love for this guy either. Yeah, Creed Humphrey is an okay center at times, but just really lacking in that athleticism, like a lot of the other guards here. And then with our last player, we have maybe a player that people are surprised to see here, but Jalen Mayfield, the same as the last few guys I've mentioned, or similar to Alex Leatherwood and Jackson Carman, has played at tackle pretty much his entire career there at Michigan. Reminds me a lot of Robert Hunt, because there is a world where this guy works out as a tackle, but I think he'd be much better at guard. And that's why I think Robert Hunt's a good comparison, because I feel like whatever team takes him is going to force him to play tackle. And only if they get an upgrade will move him to guard. If they move him to guard, I could see him being one of the better guards in football. Not like a top 5 like some of these other guys, but also another guy that can very easily be a bust, because again, he's just sluggish with his feet. He's definitely not quick, and his reaction time is below average. And I have him here at number 10 below a few other guys, because if you're going to be slow, like at least be powerful. And while I list power as his strength here, I wouldn't call it a strength. I think Jalen Mayfield is the definition of an average, versatile offensive lineman that's truly not versatile. He probably goes somewhere in the 2nd round. I don't think he should go till the 5th. I really do not like Jalen Mayfield, but, you know, I still see why people like him. He still can work out, but I don't know if he will. That's the thing with a lot of these players is, you know, any one of these players can be the best player in the class, and any one of them can be the worst. I mean, like, I might get some hate for this, but in all reality, Trevor Lawrence could be a bust, just maybe because of the injuries or the coaching or whatever it is. Like, as much as a safe prospect Trevor Lawrence is, he could very easily be a bust. There might be some random quarterback that no one knows about from some small school that ends up being the best quarterback of all time. So Jalen Mayfield, it's like, what I've seen, I don't necessarily like. And I'm saying he can work out, I just don't see it. But that is my inside offensive lineman rankings for the 2021 NFL Draft. Let me know what you guys thought down below. Let me your rankings for this draft class. If you did like the video, leave a like, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next upload, which is going to be our inside defensive lineman. I'm excited for the draft. Are you? Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see all you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.